Not on this date, 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago, but on February 24th, 2015, I got a note. Do you save notes? Do you save things you get? I saved this note because it was very nice. It was very kind. This note says, Big Dave, I heard your first show today. You were most professional and on your game. I predict you will also dominate this medium of communication. Well, that note came from our next guest, and that's Dr. John Braccio, PhD. And since that time, we've done a lot of segments together. But he was very kind to write that after show number 1, which he wasn't even on show number 1. He's on show number 2. But that'll go just tell you how long our relationship goes back with this and much longer in quote-unquote real life. And he's on the other end of our line right now with Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing. Good morning, sir. Welcome for the last time.
Well, David, it's been a wonderful set of memories, and it kind of fits in as we do in our last meeting here, if you will, segment. Did we have a topic and talk about positive memories before I get into a few comments for you, if that's okay?
Sure,
psychologists have already known for some time that positive thoughts and memories produce positive persons. The ability to remember and focus on positive thoughts in one's life accurately and intuitively points out the obvious. Positive thoughts and memories reduce depression. If a person focuses on negative memories, the present is going to be depressing, and the future will look the same because the future will be filled with the current present negative memories. And so it goes on, a never-ending cycle. One must cognitively restructure or consciously replace negative thoughts with positive thoughts in order to have a chance for positive self-esteem and a life free or with far less depression than the person who focuses on negative thoughts. Now, with that said, I'd like to make a few comments about you, Dave, and our time together. This brings me to the fact that we've had nearly 400 segments with you. Yes, this is the last Psychologically Speaking segment we will do together on WILS 1320 AM radio. It really is hard to believe, but it's been a great ride. Hard to believe how quickly the past 7.5 years have gone. The memories from the segments will always be positive, as I have greatly enjoyed doing them with you. And the hope is they've been enjoyable for you and helpful for our listeners. I simply want to give a shout-out thank you and hooray to you for your superb professionalism. You'll notice I noticed that back in 2015. Of course, I'd known you from the past. And wish you the best in your continuing successes. We'll continue the nearly 30-year long-term relationship we have had since your days as a sports director and news anchor at WLNS TV6. Our interactions are a significant part of my positive long-term memories, Dave, and that's true. They will keep coming back as emotional nourishment to keep depression on the ropes. So I will miss these segments together. We will continue talking and continue as we have in the past from a long, long time ago. And just know that these have been really wonderful segments and really enjoyed doing with you. It's just hard to believe we're talking about 400 segments. That is a lot of segments together.
It is, and you're so very kind. Those words are very kind, and but that's the way. But that's the way you are. Not only positive, always forward-looking, but very, very. For a guy who's always looking forward, he knows so many quotes from antiquity. I think that's the beautiful thing about the doc here. I mean, he knows how to meld them all together, and I'm very appreciative, and especially so for your. And I think longtime listeners will agree with me very much on this, that you are always a voice of reason and of looking at things, sometimes in a fresh way, but certainly in a measured way. You were very much on your game with that, as if you're ever off it, but you were on it during the early days and through some of the very dark days of the pandemic, okay? And I think I came to rely on you, just as my wife says, his voice has a way of keeping you, reassuring you, even if the topic isn't something that you're 100% into, but you have a very, you have a certain way about you. You're in the right place in life for your talents and skills, Doc, and you really came to the fore with that in these segments, I believe, during the pandemic when people needed rational, even keel, calm, because everything else was telling them, basically we're doomed, run for your lives. And you were never that way. I think I admire that greatly. I really do.
Well, thank you, David. I believe the world goes on. We have to find the best way to function in it, and we have to try to always have a positive look, regardless of what's going on, because the sun will come up in the morning, and if there are clouds out there and a big storm, you know eventually there's going to be blue sky. There's going to be a nice sun out there, and the weather's going to be nice eventually. If it's not, and that's the same thing emotionally. Whatever's going on, there is going to be a good moment. You have to prepare. You have to realize, because another quote I've always liked of Oscar Wilde, that the cynic knows the price of everything and the value of nothing, and that is really true if you really think about it. And another of my mother's ones was that the optimist and pessimist have the same frequency of air, but the optimist is so much happier, and that really is true. If you're looking for good and you keep pushing for it and you seek it out, you're going to find it. If you're seeking negativity and you expect negativity and your memories are negativity, then you're going to find negativity. It's really that simple. So we just try to move forward in life. They're choices. The choices we make, the topic we even had today, we were not going to end without having a good coffee. The positive memories, they do reduce depression. They make happy persons. And I just look forward, to your future too, a new voyage. You've been successful in everything you've done, and this is a new voyage and new thought, and it'll be exciting for you, your wife, your family, and for those who love and care for you. To know what's Big Dave doing. What's going on, and that's kind of where things are.
Do you see a value? Okay, take away mine specifically, but writ large, do you see a value in throughout life looking for new challenges and things rather than relying on, the tried and true? I'm not saying throw away stuff that you do well or that you like. If you have skill sets, not at all. Don't get me wrong. But does looking for new challenges, do you see that as a net positive when you work with clients, patients, and et cetera?
Absolutely. You're going to find, even if someone's in the same field, successful people are always doing something different. They're always learning new things. The more you know you don't know. Isn't that really true?
That is true. The older I get, the less I know. That's absolutely right.
And there may be something, some crazy philosopher has said, who's on, but there's always new thoughts, new ideas. And that's part of the challenge, of life. And I've never run into somebody who has said, boy, I'm tiring of thinking about new things. Okay, I've run into countless people that have been bored in a cubicle, bored in one specific type of activity. And you can't even just look at a person, what they're doing, and determine if they're innovative or not, because there are people that enjoy sitting still or sitting in one area many, many hours a day and just learning and developing new things. And everybody is different. The ADHD person is more obvious if they're the more active, outgoing variety. We see them always doing, always trying, always out and about, moving around. But you can be a very creative, hard-charging person in a quiet way, too. Everybody is different. Everyone has their style. But if you're always looking for new challenges, new ideas, that makes life new, Dave. It doesn't matter how old you are. If the carriage is fairly healthy and you're moving forward, then you're ready for the next challenge. What is the new thing? Remember, Churchill said, woe be it to the person that when the public calls, they're not prepared. So you want to be ready for each new challenge as it comes up, and you only do that by preparing, looking for new things, trying new things, and forging forth. It's what makes life exciting, makes life interesting. It's the new, it's the exciting, it's the, it just keeps the blood moving. Exciting, to answer your question in many words.
I will miss our segments here because they were a regular feature, on Tuesday mornings. But I'm not going to have to miss our friendship because that will continue beyond the segments, which is great. By the way, you mentioned Oscar Wilde. Can I give you my favorite Oscar Wilde quote?
Sure,
it's very brief. Oscar Wilde was coming to New York to lecture, and he was at the port of New York. And, of course, he has to go through customs, right? And they say, do you have anything to declare? He said, simply my genius. So that could be another segment topic on a person who would say that coming through. But it's still, I loved it because he was a master of that acerbic wit. And and you know what? We are not masters of that on this show, but we have something we try to aspire to every once in a while. we'll try to aspire to that for the next 48 hours while we still have the microphone in hand. The good doctor is here. Memories today, positive memories, can ward off depression and keep you warm and kindle your heart all through the years of your life. I think that's very true. And again, I'll miss talking with you on these segments, but it's been great to partner with you, the good doctor with Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing, drjohnb.com. That's the place for the podcast, and there are many there to attest to that we've done, and we hope they're of help to you. Thank you, my friend, very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Dave. The same back to you all the way, and wish you and your family the best, and we'll continue talking.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, absolutely. The good doc. I will miss that. I do, and I mean that. And I kept that note from 7.5 years ago because it was very nice. And now, whether he was right or not on that, that's listener's choice. Absolutely. But the fact he was telling me that after day one, I appreciated that. And there he is near the finish. We'll be back in a moment on the Morning Wake Up. Don't go away. 1320 WILS.